Babes. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen, your loctician bestie, wife, and mama. Here on my channel, we talk about all things locks, beauty, and lifestyle, filled with a whole lot of lock love. So whether you're here for the tips and tricks or you're here just for the vibes, you're definitely in the right place. So let's get back into it. Okay, Loc'd Babes. So this is part 2 of My Locs, My Mental Health mini-series that I have created. Again, I am still trying to finish my retie. If you guys watch through the whole first video, you see that most of the video I just kept talking. You know, once I started getting into the deep of my depression and my grief and everything from 2019, 2020, and 2021. My stuck in my head. My distraction started and my retie became a thing of the past. So I am going to try to actually stay on track and still do my retie as I am chatting with you lovely ladies today. Okay. All right, so in the second video, I wanted to focus on how caring for my locks became part of my self-care journey. So again, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes so I don't get too sidetracked or too distracted from what we're talking about. Okay, so I left off on, that was how 2021 basically ended. So now we're on 2022. So at the end of 2021, I forgot to mention that I spoke to a friend and she was a huge advocate for therapy and she recommended that I give it a try. So at that time, I went through my my job's insurance and I found someone, what was it called? I don't know if it was called EOP or EIP, something like that, but it's basically for like employees who had like I think it was more like a crisis where you needed therapy, like because it was a crisis. So my thoughts were, before I go hunting for a therapist, let me actually get my feet wet and see what therapy is all about. So how that worked is you get like, I think it was like 6 free sessions or 7 free sessions. So I thought I'll use that and see what it's like. And if I like really like this person, then I will sign up to have them be like, you know, my therapist. So I signed up. I got an appointment relatively quickly. I also signed up. My friend recommended a clinic to me that was all about guys, my brain fog is really bad right now. It's all about all Black providers. So it's like women, it's a women-owned Black business and all the therapists are Black and brown women. And I was like, I love that. So I added myself to their wait list because they have a wait list. You know, I just told you what it was about. So of course they would have a wait list. And in the meantime, I thought I would give the employee thing a try. So I signed up. They paired me with the cutest little oldest white lady. She was so sweet and so kind. And after like 3 sessions, I was just like, this is not my therapist. I felt like most of my sessions with her were tailored around explaining my Blackness instead of actually getting to like the therapy aspect of it. So here is the best like point that I can give. So I remember vividly one of my appointments with her. I think we were discussing the death of Michael because this is the first time I'm actually talking about it now. For that first year and a half, I couldn't even say his name without like bursting into tears. So here we are now, and I said something to her. She asked me a question. I don't remember what the question was, but my response to her, I laughed. And she was like, why did you laugh? And I was like, well, you know how Black people are. Like, we laugh to keep from crying. And she was like, no, I don't know how Black people are, and I don't think you should generalize a whole race because you're laughing in the moment. And I was just like, eh. So I was like, well, being a Black person, I do know that us Black people, laughing is a coping mechanism. Yes, for me, it is. But historically for us, we laugh to keep from crying. Maybe not every single Black person that you meet, but the majority of us will throw in a chuckle or something so we don't get too deep to not cry. And she fought me on this tooth and nail. And she's like, how could you do that? You know, you can't talk for everybody else's trauma. You're here for you. You're not here to systematically talk about all Black. And I was like, okay, this went too deep, too fast, too far. I'm not interested in it no more. So I respectfully declined to continue that conversation. She kept trying to push. Midnights, you have no business down those stairs. Don't you go down those stairs, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Have a seat, okay? Thank you. Good boy. Yeah, so it just rubbed me the wrong way. She kept trying to push and push and push and say like, yeah, well, let's talk more about why you believe that all Black people are doing this. And I'm like, no, I think you should do your research, Betty. I can't remember her name, but I'm just calling her Betty now because she looked like Betty White. She was so cute. But I was just like, no, like, I know this to be a fact. I'm not just making up stuff right now. Like, I know this to be a fact. She refused to believe me, whatever. And then I realized, like, am I explaining my Blackness and actually instead of getting help? Like, she's going to stay stuck on this thing instead of the answer that I actually provided. So after that, I was like, I got to find somebody else. So I canceled my next few appointments with her. I told her, like, I just don't think we're a good fit. And I explained to her why. And she told me, like, oh, well, she would do more research on it and then whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm out. That was like November 2021. So I'm still waiting on the wait list for the other place now. So I'm waiting, having her back. I'm following up, having her back, waiting. I sent so many emails in this time, like, why when people won't get back to me? I love this place. Like, how long could their wait list be? So now it is literally March. It's March 2022. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to send one last email to this therapy place, but I'm going to send this email to like the clinical director now, because I just want her to know that her wait list for all of her providers are so long that she's losing providers. And coming from a history of, you know, the medical field and still working in the hospital at this time, I felt like even if I don't like book anything with your facility, I just want you to know, I want you to have like a review of what other people may be experiencing, because you could be losing, well, you are losing patients and, you know, clients and stuff because we can't even book an appointment. I couldn't even book my initial appointment. So I wrote her and she actually wrote me back right away. She was like, hi, are you available for a call like tomorrow so we could talk? And I was like, heck yeah. So now I'm stoked because I'm like, wow, it's almost been like 6 months and I could finally talk to her, talk to anybody at this point. And it's not a therapy session. She just wanted to talk to me. So she ended up calling me. It was a Zoom. And she's like, well, what happened? And I attached all my previous emails in that one email. And I also told her like the amount of times I called. And I said, this is how much I've contacted your practice for an appointment. And I never heard back. So shortly after this, she let go her administrative assistant. I did not mean for that to happen, but apparently she did have an admin assistant who wasn't doing her job. She wasn't reading emails. She wasn't responding to anybody. She's like, you are not the first person that I heard, but you are the most consistent that actually was trying to get an appointment. A lot of, you know, clients and stuff we lost tried a time or two and then they just went someplace else. But like, you've been consistently doing this. And I'm like, yeah, like my friend raved about you guys and I really need help. So she was like, obviously she's a clinical director. She's like, my caseload is full, but I am going to actually rearrange everybody just so I can get you in because it's the least that I could do. So I was like, what? Now I get to see the big boss in charge? Like, this is lit. So I had my first session with her that following week and we've been locked in ever since.
There's your sister, Venus.
Ever since. First, my therapy sessions were once a month, but then when she started to get to know me and she's like, you have a lot of unpacking to do. She actually moved me to a weekly schedule. So it was every week for an hour for maybe 6 or 7 months. And at first it was virtual because I wasn't ready to go into the office yet. So I was like, I always want to keep it virtual. And then she started suggesting, like, you should come in the office. Like, maybe you do every other one in the office. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to keep it virtual because even though I'm doing therapy now, this still feels safe to me to kind of have like a barrier to being the computer. I was doing a lot of deep diving. I want to say the first year of me being in therapy, every session I was ending in tears. Like we were going through it. I was in tears about one thing or another. There was some instance where we butt heads, but I don't know. There's something about this facility and having a Black and brown provider too that's gonna call you out on your stuff, but respectfully. So I even mentioned to her, like, she's like, have you tried therapy before? I mentioned to her about the previous provider and how I had to explain my Blackness, and I gave her that example, and she was like, yeah, we all do that. Like, hello. And I was like, that's what I try to tell her. And she's like, well, of course she wouldn't understand because she's not Black, but I'm proud of you for not like trying to stick through that and realizing what was happening and just deciding to move to somebody or move to, you know, a facility or whatever that can already understand with how it feels to be a Black woman. Like, you don't have to explain how it feels to be a Black woman because the person you're speaking to already knows how it feels to be a Black woman. So that's how I knew I made the right point. But I'm looking down again because I'm going to get sidetracked. So yeah, so again, I told you guys, I started My Locs, right? So I had My Locs. So during the first year of going to therapy, going to work, I had a lot more family drama happen. So much family drama in this year. Like, so much family drama with like outside members, not immediate family members, but outside family members, that it was just like consistently something. So I was really grateful for having My Locs because I didn't have to think about, okay, you know, what am I going to do to my hair? Because my hair, a lot of my identity I realized was in my hair. And it has been for such a long time. You know, coming from, I'm a millennial. So coming from a place where, you know, in the 90s, we're nappy head and nobody could do your hair because you have, you know, the tightest, nappiest hair ever. Sorry, I had a call. Nobody wants to do your hair. It's too kinky. It's too thick. You got to do this. You're going to have to get a perm, or you're going to have to get it straightened, or you're going to have to do... It was a mess, right? So coming to a place of healing where that is not what's happening anymore. A lot of the natural hair things that you guys see now, even the hairstyles, my sister has been telling me, one of my sisters, 4 years to start a YouTube channel. Had I started my YouTube channel when she actually told me to, I would probably have like 50 million subscribers, because a lot of the hairstyles that I see, not even now, like within the last 15 years or so, I've done these hairstyles like all through high school. Like faux locks, I didn't know that was growing to be a thing because I thought I made it up. I promise you, I thought I made it up. I've been doing faux locks since at least 2008, where people actually thought they were my real locks. I don't know anybody else who was doing them that long. The same thing with like my taper cuts and bleaching my hair and single links twists and all types of styles. All of the styles that everybody is like running towards now, I've been doing it from then. I promise you, I thought I made up a lot of the braiding patterns for weaves. I thought I made all these things up. Because when I was doing it, nobody was doing it. There was no one on YouTube doing it, is what I should say. There was no one on YouTube doing it. When I started wearing my natural hair out, people used to come up to me and ask me if it was a wig. There wasn't videos online about how to care for your natural hair. And I had a fro. There wasn't anything. I was putting mayo and honey and eggs in my hair and yogurt in my hair 20 years ago. And it wasn't a thing, you know? So had I started my YouTube channel then about like natural hair care and wigs and weaves and stuff, I would be a top YouTube influencer for sure. But I just think that, again, at that time, I don't know. I wasn't in a place to do it. I didn't see the importance of it. And I also didn't see why I would do that. Like, I don't know. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So now I am in therapy. I will say therapy is going. Will I say it was going well the first year? It was going. There was a lot of things that I had to break down. Like, so anybody that's interested in starting therapy, when you first go to therapy, you're not going to be like, okay, tell me your biggest, darkest secret. It's not going to start off that way, right? It's going to start off light. It's going to start off with things that you might not even be in therapy for. You are going to start talking about things that you didn't think need to be therapized. And all of a sudden, you're crying, you know? So I had to unpack so much stuff. I ended up having to do EMDR, if you're familiar with that. It's like a type of therapy for like traumatic PTSD. And I didn't realize all of the trauma that I have been packing in from a child from 5 and 6 years old to my 30s, that it needed to come out. And it was hard, but it was beautiful. It was difficult, but it was worth it. It was so hard, guys. I don't know how else to describe it. I would leave therapy at nights crying, and I would be so sad for the rest of the day. And my husband would be confused, like, I thought therapy was to help you. And I'm like, yeah, it's gonna help me. I just gotta sit with this right now. I gotta process. And he would just be confused, like, this is why I ain't going to therapy, because what's the point of going to therapy and then coming home depressed? But he didn't understand the undoing and the muck that had to come out of me, because here I am as a Christian woman, struggling with my faith, dealing with all of these people who've passed away, and family issues on top of health issues, on top of moving, on top of school. My girl started getting bullied at school, and I told you all types of outside factors. It was just one thing after the next. I felt like I couldn't catch a break. And around this time again, the thing that I had the most control over was my hair. And I was so glad that I locked my hair, because the simplicity and the beauty of watching my locks thrive, watching my hair grow, watching them turn to, I think my first set, I started with braids. So from braids to beautiful locks, like over the course of time, was great. And I started working out again. So now we're towards the end of 2022. I'm like working out like a rat now, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working out every day, every single day before I go to work. I am finding cute lock styles to do to my hair. I am just loving my body. I'm in a great place. And then my father passes away. So my father and I had a very, 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 very difficult relationship. I didn't grow up with him. I never felt like he cared, he loved me, or that he was an actual dad to me. I grew up hating that man so much, hating him with a passion. And before I decided to give my life to Christ, I drove to the South and we had a conversation, and I decided, like, I have to let this go, because I can't hate you and have my room in heaven. So despite all the hurt and the pain that I felt like he's caused me and my family, I just felt like I had to let it go. I had to let it go for my salvation. So that was work. It was work undoing. I did try to build a relationship with him heavily a whole year before he passed away, but it felt like it was just something that he wasn't interested in. He didn't want it anymore. So that was hard to come to grips with, but I'm grateful that I did have that experience and I did try, because by the time he passed away, yes, I'm hurt. It wasn't really out the blue, because he was in hospice for a while, but I thought that he would recover, and I thought that we would at least talk and make amends or something. But I had already made amends with God. Like, I don't hate him. I actually feel sorry for him, and he missed out. Like, he really missed out on having a wonderful child, hair flip, and really getting to know, like, my daughters, his grandkids. So it was difficult. It was very hard. I remember I was planning a getaway at my best friend at the time at her house, and the day I was supposed to leave to go, the day before I was supposed to leave to go to her house, my father passed away. So I was like, I'm still going. Like, I'm still going. I'm still gonna go. And yeah, but then while we were there a couple of days later, obviously they started doing the funeral arrangements and all the type of stuff. So then we ended up having to leave from Delaware to drive down south. So that was a whole nother thing. So after that, I kind of fell into a depression again. Not as hard as before, because now I had a tool set. I had a tool set under my belt, because now I've been going to therapy at least for 10, 11 months at this time. And I felt like I can cope with this better than I can cope with losing Mike, you know? Losing Alexis, losing Gmon, losing Kobe. Like, I could cope with this better, but I was still depressed, right? So again, I was even more grateful at that time that I had locks and I was able to continue with my lock journey, because it became such a healing thing for me. Because first of all, when you're grieving and you're going through hardships like this, the last thing you care about is how you look. You don't care about how you wake up, how your hair looks, if your makeup is nice, if your clothes look nice. Like, I did that 2 years prior. I did that when I was masking and when I was covering. So I felt like at this point, I didn't have it. I didn't have it to give. So when I would wake up and I would see my locks like stuck to a side, and I would spritz my hair and comb it down, and then I would have my hairstyle, I would just be like, God, you are so good. You are so good. Like, the timing for me locking my hair is impeccable, because I'm at odds right now, and there's no way I would even know what to do with all the hair that I had on my head. I wouldn't know. I would have been lost. And now that my locks at this point were starting to grow, it was something else that I could pour into, you know? So when I was sad or whatever, I would look at my hair and I'd be like, oh, they're budding. You know, they're budding. Just like me internally, spiritually, like, they looked rough in the beginning and they didn't really look like anything, but now they're budding, they're maturing, they're growing, and so am I. So my lock routine really became like a healing ritual for me. I would just bask in the sun. I wanted to feel the sun on my scalp, because never did I have a hairstyle where I can literally just feel my scalp, right? Because I would have my furrows not just blocking my scalp. Even if I had braids, it was still something artificial in my head. If I did have my hair straightened, I know, like, if I'm in the sun too long and I sweat, the humidity is going to turn it back to a fro. Wearing wigs and weaves, my scalp isn't free. So there were so many things blocking. I felt like the vitamin D from getting into my scalp, and it just felt so freeing to just be able to lay outside or on the beach or whatever and just be me, right? What else? During that time, so the end of 2022 coming into 2023, everything for me kind of just started anew. So again, I have been a hair enthusiast for 20 something years. I've always had a medical, not always, but I've worked very hard to get my attributes up in the medical field, where I got as a high position of working for the chief of breast surgery, and I was paid very well. It was very fulfilling to me helping cancer patients, because I worked in oncology, but I always felt a longing, like, this is not what I feel passionate about, right? Helping people is something that I feel passionate about, but to what degree? So 2023, after losing my father and having to deal with that, and just thinking like, wow, like, I don't know, I just feel like at that time, the men who played the biggest parts in my life were leaving me, right? So my best friend, he left me. He passed away. It's no fault of his own, but God took him quick, without notice, without rhyme or reason, and he's just gone. And that was someone that I confided into for 15 years. Like, I remember we've had one falling out. It was for like a month, and I drove to his house in South Carolina. I was like, you're gonna be my friend. And that was the end of our argument. That's how we used to argue. It's like, where do you think you're going? You're not. We seen each other through like terrible relationships, terrible friendships. We've seen each other through it all. So it was just like, that was my dude. And then losing my father, which was a very toxic and tumultuous relationship. This is somebody I'm supposed to like, you know, wanna be with, like, you know, girls like, oh, I want to marry someone like my dad, and I never had that, or call him for advice or teach me how to do things. Like, he's never taught me anything. I actually think he was the first person to teach me how to hate, and that's the first time I said that out loud, and that was like, whoa, that's crazy. That's like, it's a lot to unpack, right? So that, and again, at this point in time, my marriage is going like on a roller coaster. It's up and down because I'm going through my own things. My husband is going through his own things, but we're not really seeing eye to eye about stuff. The things overall, okay, we're on one accord, and we'll have moments where it'll be like, oh, we had a good week, this was a great week, and then I'll go back to like something else would happen, and it was all over the place. So I just felt like the men in my life were failing me. And then 2023, my brother got colon cancer. So I'm like, God, this is it for me. This is like the last male role model influence that I have in my life. So like, please don't take him away. So I looked around and I said, I can't go to work anymore. My anxiety is through the roof. My depression is slowly creeping back. I'm still going to therapy. Now therapy is bi-weekly, so it's every other week. And no, at this time, actually, we scaled it back to once a month because she felt like I was doing great before my father passed away. So we kept it at once a month. So I felt like this isn't a good idea. I felt strong about making the decision beforehand, but after all these things started happening, I just felt like I needed to be talking to her more. But I didn't say anything. I didn't push like, hey, I need to go back to my regular weekly schedule. I felt like I could handle it. So at this time, the role I had at that time when my father passed away, it was very disrespectful how they treated me. I had to use my own vacation days to bury my father. My father was a veteran, so he had to have the bear of arms and the whole thing in South Carolina for his funeral. And I just felt disrespected and unimportant to this job that I had. And it was at a very reputable place, you know? So I just felt like this is how we were treating the employees. So I spoke to my husband and I was like, I have to quit. Oh, all of 2023 also, I decided I was going to be a realtor. I wanted my real estate license. So I studied for the real estate exam, passed it, got my license. Now I'm dabbling in real estate a little bit, but I still felt like this is not what God is showing me to do. And then I thought, wow, I spent all this time telling God that being a hairstylist or a loctician wasn't enough, right? It wasn't prestigious enough. It just wasn't enough. That was like a side hustle, but there's no way I could do that full time. And the more I told him that, the more he allowed me to just sit with my thoughts about that. But the second I decided, like, you know what? I think I need to take this more serious than I have been. So 2022 actually is when I had my first couple of lock clients. I did their hair, I started their locks, but it was still something I did on the side, nothing that I wanted to do full time. I started my own locks, my daughter's locks, a couple family and friends, but it wasn't like a full-time thing that I wanted to do. I didn't want to have a salon. I didn't want to be a loctician. I just knew I knew what to do. And I'll start your hair, I'll start your locks. I'll maintain it for you if you want, like, sure, not a problem. But 2023 is when I decided I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to make a salon and I'm going to take this seriously. So I spoke to my husband about it, and I was just like, I am riddled with anxiety. My depression is on a roller coaster. I have gained all 25 pounds back that I lost last year, and I am just unhappy. Every day I want to wake up and cry, every single day. And the only thing that's bringing me joy right now are my locks. So I would love to find a way to do this for other people so I can feel joy to do their hair and they can feel joy after their hair is done. Like, this is what I want to do. So my husband was like, okay, if this is what you want to do, let's plan it out. And within the next 3-4 months, I turned in my resignation letter and I was out of there. The first month was great because I've always had to work. I've been working since I was 15. So the first month of like not working and still being provided for, I was like, oh, I'm kept. Like, this is nice. I just do what I want to do. And I want to say day 31, I was like, okay, I need something to do. This isn't it. So then I had to buckle down and get serious. Like, how am I going to grow my clientele business? Where am I going to get the funds to actually build a salon? What am I going to do? Like, I just want like a suite for now. Like, I can look at having a full salon in the next, 3 to 5 years, but I just need a suite right now. I need a space where I can do hair. I'm only going to focus on locks because yes, I love braids, I love weaves, I love wigs, but locks is what makes me happy. Doing my locks, I feel like saved my life. So I want to stay in my niche and I want to do what is actually causing me joy. And it's only locks, micro locks, traditional locks, instant locks. Like, I just want to love on people with locks. So, yeah, having my own locks and servicing the clients that I had at the time and my girls, it really, 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 really helped me with my patience. I had to be patient with myself. I had to be patient with other people. I had to give grace to myself. I had to give grace to other people. It taught me self-discipline, not only for their hair, but for my hair as well. Like, again, I told you guys I started my retightening. I did all of this up to here like 2 weeks ago. And this had to wait because I've been working, I've been grinding, I've been doing a lot of things that I'm working behind the scenes on something really special for you guys. And I want to also be able to get that. Sorry, I'm checking the time because this video is already getting long. To get that done. So yes, I'm still prioritizing my hair, but things need to shift and change. So when I started my Enrich Locks business, the joy that I felt, oh my gosh, I think there's a bee in here. Oh my gosh, there's a bee or there's a wasp in my house. Guys, I don't know how it got in here and I'm not about to find it. But I guess we'll see. The cat and dog just looking. You gotta get that midnight, whatever that is. You gotta get that. Where's Jackson? Don't look. Now I'm on. I'm gonna keep my ear out for it. But if it comes in here, guys, all this stuff's gonna flip over. Oh, he's going to it now, wherever it is. Anyway, that threw me off. So anyway, guys, the process of loving my locks really and truly, I feel like it saved me. It allowed me to dig deeper. It allowed me to get back into a good place with God. Not even a good place, a great place, a place that I feel comforted and loved by him, a place that I wrestled out how I felt about him and his actions and his ways. It allowed me to see, although all these bad things were happening, there's still joy. Joy still comes in the morning. And praying about my business, praying over my business, praying about my hands and the skills that God has given me. I've worked all of these years in customer service and allowing that to be an attribute to my business, and scheduling and patient care and all these things that I didn't think would be tied into the hair care business actually serves me wonders, right? And because I have now this newfound passion and love for locks, the passion and the love equipped with the discipline of having a corporate and a medical position has just created a beautiful business for myself. And this is not something that I did in my own doings. This is absolutely God. My business is still growing. It's not the biggest in the world, but I'm grateful for all the clients I have. I'm grateful for every single one that I have. Every person that graces my chair, I'm grateful for them. Not only because it is a way for me to provide for my family, but because of the joy and the happiness I get to witness every time they leave my chair. Every time, without fault. They can come in sad and depressed or whatever, and I also get to be a therapist, which is something that I truly felt called to being, but now I get to be a therapist, and I don't have to go to school to be a therapist because everybody gets free therapy when they're in my chair. My Loc'd Babes are amazing. I need a name for my dudes. I can't call them Loc'd Babes. My Loc'd Dudes. I don't like that. My Loc'd Bros. My Loc'd Bros are amazing too. Obviously, I service more women. But yeah, my Loc'd Babes are amazing, and I love them so much. I'm so happy to pour into them. I'm so happy to hear about their careers and their love lives and their families. And even when they're not doing well, just being a shoulder to lean on for them. I'm so happy that God has got me to a place where I'm able to give, and not from someplace empty, but someplace that's overflowing already, right? So the mirror moments of when I was first starting my locks, and I know people have like the ugly stage that they say, but starting my locks, and in the beginning when I was just like, what did I do? And I remember crying and saying like, I should just cut my hair off. Should I take it out? Like, I don't know. I didn't really have any expectations of how my hair would look, but I knew I didn't want my hair to look like that, But praying and loving myself and trusting the process has really helped me a lot. Again, this is my third set of locks. I think I told you guys that story, or I'll tell you guys in another video about how I got to lock set number 3. But this is my permanent set. So if you ever see me without locks, it's because I cut them off, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I would have cut them off, but I will not be restarting my lock set. I love this set. It is beautiful. I love that I did cut them like 3 weeks ago, only because I wanted to grow into a blunt style, not because of anything else, not because of stress, not because I don't want them anymore, only because I want it to be like, I want a blunt bob. So I'm trying to get them to lay in the shape that I want already. And I had my hair in the back is a lot straighter than my hair in the top. So I had like this mullet thing happening, and I don't need any mullet moments. So crying and praying is how I added crying. Crying and praying and loving on myself through my lock process, and just through the processes that I was going through, really equipped me, really changed me, really molded me, really allowed me to get back. Well, I won't even say back, because where I am is better than I was before COVID. So, but simple things like washing my locks, oiling my scalp, playing worship music. These weren't just like daily things to check off of like a checkbox for me. They weren't daily tasks. They really became like therapy for me. It really became a form. Oh, the sun's coming out now. It really became a form of therapy for me, where each time I was doing my hair, I was rebuilding another piece of myself. And I just fell in love. So, guys, it gets greater later. Again, I thank you so much for watching. I'm really trying to stay on topic. I said these videos were not going to be long, but they happen to be long anyway. I do feel like I'm talking to a friend. So, I didn't want to rush them or make them like bullet point. I just wanted to talk to you guys freely, as I'm still not done my hair. But like I said, this is a 3-part series. So in the last part, I will get you guys caught up to, modern day. We ended at 2023, and 2023 is when Enriched Locks was born. So I will get you guys caught up to 2025 and where I am now, and how my journey is going now. in the next video. But please, please, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you like these type of story time talk videos, let me know in the comments below. I would love to do more and get to know you guys too. If you guys have had a lock journey that is like spiritually connecting and it's gotten you out of a place of hardship or a place of just being from the wilderness to now, definitely leave it in the comments below. If you were able to watch through this whole video, please leave me a yellow heart emoji in the comment section. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I thank you guys for joining my Loc'd Babe family. Until next time. Mwah. Later.